Hi, everyone. I'm Linda Bennett, your spiritual counselor and psychic host for Metaphysically Speaking. People who've been with me for a long time, welcome back. People who are brand new, this is a show I've been doing since 1985, and we're doing different venues, so I'm glad you're joining us. You can catch us on the radio. And also, if you're looking here at Facebook and YouTube, thank you for joining us. We're going to do an hour, and we have a bunch of things to discuss. You can also call in by checking with that number down there at the bottom of the screen. And we have a super duper producer who is going to be taking those calls and then flinging them over to me. If you're not used to calling in, relax. Even if we don't get a caller today because people aren't sure, that's fine. We've got plenty to talk about. Metaphysics is the term that Aristotle coined to incorporate all of the universe. Everything. Everything is metaphysical. Everything is God created. What's God? Well, we can get to that later, but God created. In meditation many years ago, when I was looking for a name for the show that I was asked to do, I said, I want to use metaphysics. And then in meditation, I heard Metaphysically Speaking. I said, that's great. It takes the seen world and brings it together with the unseen world and helps you understand what everything is and how everything is related to everybody else. And I say everybody else because I mean people, I mean pussycats, I mean elephants, I mean trees. It's interesting, when I started doing the show, if you would say, well, my cat talks to me, or a tiger talked to me, or an elephant talked to me, or my trees talk to me and I talk back, people would think, oh, she's ready for the loony bin. But now they know that animals have their own language. And there's a wonderful, I think it's on Amazon or Netflix, I'm not sure, but could be Disney, the Disney extra thing. Extra site that you're supposed to go to and pay for. It's not that we're not paying enough already, but they have discovered that whales not only have a common language, but they have a language that is specific to their pod, their family. Now, when I said stuff like this years ago, people thought Linda needs as a little psychiatric care. I didn't need psychiatric care, but the two psychiatrists I was friendly with thought, that makes sense. If people have their own kind of language in their family, why don't other creatures? And so everybody considers that normal. When I was going to trim my shrubs in the front, I would say, I'm coming out tomorrow and I'm going to start trimming. And I knew what they would do is withdraw their sap back down as far as they needed to. So when I cut the top off, or I did a little pruning in between, they wouldn't feel it. So everything is related to everything else. Everything, some people like to say, is a dream. Well, it's not a dream. It is happening now. And let's cover that for a second. People like to say everything is happening. The past, the present, and the future is happening right now all at the same time. That's not true. If you're going by, say, another planet where people live to be 1,000 years old on average, well, everything seems to be, relatively speaking, happening at the same time, but it's not. And how do we know that? Because we know about reincarnation. We know about people seeing things in the future. We know about things that can be changed and cannot be changed. And so things are moving forward. You can look back and you can look forward, but you must live in the present. Living in the present will determine what happens in the future. Don't forget, it's not just your future, it's the future of the people around you, the people in your community, people in your state, people in your country, people in the world. I don't want to discuss the former president now, but think how much credibility the United States lost when we had the former administration. They got scared. The United States didn't have a leader. the United States was only taking care of the selfish interest that it had. Everything we do, we as a person individually, a community, a country, everything we do affects everybody else on the planet. Now, let's talk about reincarnation. If you know where you're looking, you will find it in your Bible, where Jesus is talking about, I was so-and-so when I was so-and-so, and you were so-and-so when you were so-and-so. He is talking about past lives. 2/3 of the people on the planet understand. They just don't believe in it. They understand that it's a fact. And I say, well, think about it. If you love God, why would a thinking, breathing, living being of grand intelligence that created this entire universe, and I want to know what created that, and what created that, why would you have one life where one was rich, one was poor, one was wealthy, one was sick, one was gorgeous, one was unattractive? One had everything going fabulously in their lives, and the other, nothing goes right. As a joke, you get one time to fix it. This is it. No. The God I know and have experienced, and you all have known and experienced, and the special beings that are created, no, that's not the case. That would be a vicious game player. And I'm not a game player. I don't even have a computer. This is my daughter's computer. And so therefore, I don't do video games, and electronics and I often do not do well together. So there is no creative being that can create the beauty of a butterfly, a hummingbird, an ostrich, an elephant, a tiger, a pussycat, a puppy dog. Is going to give you one shot. You've already basically almost lost if you're born in a disadvantaged area and your parents aren't around and they're doing drugs or alcohol and you're raising yourself. It would take an extraordinary being to stay off drugs, to stay off alcohol, to somehow get to school, to somehow get a hold of books and study and learn and grow and do something wonderful. Whether you become a teacher, a really good secretary, an airline pilot, a doctor, a nurse, a veterinarian. Think what life could be like if everybody had the same level of advantages. Everybody could be productive. We would have enough doctors and nurses. We would have enough veterinarians to take care of pets and animals. And I don't know if you watch on National Geographic Wild, the woman that lives up in Alaska and her 2 daughters are apparently going to be veterinarians. She takes care of grizzly bears, reindeer, all kinds of creatures. So it's not just your family pets that get taken care of, but it's the animals all over the world. And there are veterinarians that specialize in animals you find in the zoo. So the tropicals or Africa, some of them specialize per continent. There are people who have opportunities to be whatever they want. Say you don't want the business world. You're a fabulous baker. There's a company in Brooklyn. I won't give it a name, but they make fabulous cream cheesecake. What would we do without that fabulous cream cheesecake? Well, we'll find something else, but isn't life just a little richer? I don't mean that as a pun, but isn't life just a little richer with fabulous cream cheesecake if you like fabulous cream cheesecake? We need bakers, we need plumbers, we need electricians, we need painters, we need people who know how to do the roof, we need people who know how to install windows. We actually need contractors to build houses, to build schools, to build libraries. We need librarians. Not everything is going to be computer. We still need humans. Nobody's going to replace your plumber. There's not a machine in the world that's going to replace your plumber or your electrician or make a decision about where that socket should go and where this wiring should be. So we need people in every walk of life. But when you start out and you can barely speak, it's really hard. So what kind of a God would that be? So you are supposed to learn the lessons that are presented to you and do the very best you can in each lifetime. Take those lessons with you. When you die, you don't really die except losing the physical body. When you change your clothes tonight, you're not going to become a different person. It's still you in different clothes. When you die, you drop this set of clothing, this body. You're in the astral form, in the astral world, which is the non-physical world, with your angels. And you start planning on your next lifetime and reviewing all the mistakes you made and all the good things you did and all the people you helped and all the people you didn't help. Everything that you did, and some people call it the Akashic Records, is recorded. So it's like from the time your parents had sex to you deciding whether or not you're going to come through at that point, or is another soul going to take that position? When you make that decision and you reserve that body, then the camera starts rolling and recording everything, including continue on when you're with your angels in the astral world. All those events, all the people you came across, even in the supermarket. Were you nice or were you nasty? Or were you helpful? Or I'm thinking of the time the girl dropped, how they take the big handful of bags and shove them on the holders. Well, she misshoved and she went flying. The bags went everywhere. So I'm, helping her. We're both picking up bags all over the floor and sticking them. She said, "You don't have to do that." I said, "Well, why not? I'm here." So putting the bags back where they belonged. And she looked so relieved because she was probably thinking the manager is going to fire me. So I said, these things happen. If you make a big project out of something like that, and it could have been you, and if you started complaining, then the manager would consider firing that person. But if we just helped and made light of it, she wouldn't have to lose her job. Think about that. Think about that. You could be responsible for a person who makes an honest mistake. You could be responsible for that person losing their job. It might not even be just them at home. It might be them assisting the family. It could be them at home with other people, with children that person is supporting. And because you had a grumpy, nasty attitude, the manager was embarrassed and fired that person. How would you feel about that? Everything we do is important. Anytime you try to undermine someone, that's only slapping you back in the face. Why would you bother? If a job is meant for you, you'll get it. If it's not meant for you, there's something else that you should be doing or should have in another company. Everything you do is recorded. I cannot say that enough. There's no getting away from anything. And your own personal angel is standing there watching you saying, "What are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do?" When you do the right thing, you feel better. Oprah Winfrey likes to say, when you know better, you do better. Well, we all know that is not true. Because we all know that there are people who keep shooting themselves in the foot. Not literally, but figuratively. So therefore, your actions are important. And your actions are part of your karma. And everybody else's karma. Karma is the law of cause and effect. In your Bible, it says you reap what you sow. If you don't put the seeds in, you're not going to have the corn or whatever it is you planted. You just can't look out the window and say, "Gosh, I wish there was a corn patch out there. I wish there was some lettuce." If you don't plant it, there's nothing for you to pick at the end of the season. So karma is the law of cause and effect. What goes around comes around, the wheel of life. In the tarot, it's the wheel of fortune. We have, when we come through, your astrological chart is a list of things that you must accomplish in this lifetime. It's like 2 from column A, 6 from column C, 3 from column D. It's a matter of lessons that you are programmed to have take place at a certain time of your life, either when you're a child or when you're a young adult or when you're older. And if it's impossible because the other people you're supposed to be working with are not doing their jobs and they're goofing off somewhere else, other people will either take their place or it'll get held over for the next lifetime. So it's better to get things done in this lifetime. So the lesson is learned, it's out of the way. The karmic lesson is satisfied, the karmic debt. If you do something nice for someone that they didn't expect or nobody really anticipated, that's a karmic blessing for you and for the person you've helped. And for you. I saw something interesting on the Dr. Oz show today. One of the things they were talking about is family pets that save lives. And this girl was walking her dog and she went and had a seizure. And she fell to the ground and the dog was, nuzzling and seeing what was wrong. And instinctively, I didn't know this till today, but if somebody is having a seizure, you should roll them on their side. And also she was in the snow. So the dog, she was face down. So the dog rolled her to the side. So her air passages were open. And the dog turned around and looked in the road and saw a car coming. And the person just went on by. How you miss a fully grown person and a white dog is beyond me. But the dog saw a truck coming, like a regular, whatever you call it, kind of truck, that a lot of people have, and they pull backwards into the driveway. So the dog stood in the middle of the street and looked over at the girl laying down. And the guy stopped, jumped out of the car, ran over, and he put his hand up like, I'm not going to eat her. Don't eat me. And he was helping her. And the dog was wagging his tail and was all happy. Meanwhile, the guy had called 911. And think about the karma. He could have driven by just like the other guy. Well, we don't know if it's a male or a female. Somebody drove by with somebody laying there and their dog concerned. This wasn't a little Chihuahua. This was, like a German Shepherd or something. So you couldn't miss the dog and you couldn't miss the person. And it was a residential street. What is the karma for the person who drove by? Even if they said, I'm taking my wife to the hospital, she's having a baby, I'll call 911. Or I will call 911 and see if we can get someone here. That would be a help. That person would not have abandoned the one laying in the street. So what's going to happen? That person is going to be in an accident situation. And people are going to pass that person by. You reap what you sow. And what about the young man who stopped? He was on his way to his girlfriend's house before he went to work. He gets a special karmic blessing. It was the karma for him to be one of the options for that young girl laying in the street, and he chose to stop. So the karmic lesson between them, including the dog, the karmic lesson between them said he stopped and helped. She got the help she needed. Case closed, so to speak. The karmic lesson, the karmic opportunity was satisfied. Think about how great you would feel if you were the person who stopped to help. And it's not just stopping to help in that sense. It's who you're born to, the lessons you learn as a child. Both my parents are alcoholics. I don't drink. I never did. And there used to be a time where people would say, well, I don't trust anybody who doesn't drink. And my answer was, I don't trust people who do. Obviously, we didn't get invited back to their house, but that was not a loss. I could have been diabetic. I could have had some kind of allergic reaction. People who make stupid statements like that are people who don't want you to remember what they did the night before. They want you to be just as drunk as they are. And the karma for that is very severe. They will wind up in the circumstances that I wound up in and having to make a choice in life. Do you want to be a drunk? Or do you want to be a productive person? I don't understand humans, so I can't tell you why some people choose to be the drunk, the alcoholic. They used to say that it was your pancreas, and they still do say that. It was your pancreas that cannot digest alcoholic sugar. That's why a lot of people who, when they give up alcohol, crave candy, crave anything that's sweet, because they got that sugar from the alcohol. So, yes, things change. One of them is you get to know the people you're living with. You get to know the people in your family and your life. You get to know what your life is all about.
Kim on hold.
So I did not understand what you said, Mr. Producer.
Okay, well, we have a caller, Kim, who's on hold. Yep.
Okay, let's go to the caller then. Caller, first name, comment, or question.
Her name is Kim.
Caller.
Hi, my name is Kim.
Hi,
and
Kim.
I'm calling from Illinois.
Okay. What can I do for you?
My question is I have a best friend, and he's not talking to me right now. Do you see him maybe coming to talk to me? His name is Rob.
It's okay. First of all, why do you want him to come and talk to you? And second of all,
because it's meant to be.
It's what? You think it's meant to be.
It's meant to be.
Here is my answer
it's
to
meant
that.
To be.
Here is my answer to that you don't want to hear. It's your choice. It is your choice. Many people knock on the door. You don't let all of them in.
Uh-huh.
And so some of them you do it
yeah.
and invite them back out again. So if you feel...
He's not knocking on the door.
Yeah. If I feel...
That's the problem.
If I felt that the two of you were destined to be together for a positive reason, not just a karmic whack on the head reason.
It is a positive reason. It's with spirit. I am a minister. He is to be my assistant pastor.
I get that. But he doesn't feel that way. So therefore, if he comes around and decides that he's going to feel that way, he will knock on the door again. If he doesn't, let it go. You don't like my answer, but I'm telling you the truth.
Okay, but I wanted to know if he's coming or not, and you're not telling me that. So
I'm telling you that this is your choice, not his. This is your choice.
It is my choice. I've been asking him for 2 weeks.
I'm sorry, we just lost her.
Oh, okay. Well, if you don't like what I'm going to say, then don't call, because I tell you what I see. He is not interested at the moment. He's not interested. And if you didn't have these emotional connection feelings, he would stay and be your friend. But he is not interested romantically. So just because you think that this is a karmic situation that you're supposed to be happily married and live forever, doesn't mean he thinks the same thing. Everybody has free will. And free will determines what you are going to do. If you use it properly, you use it psychically, get it in meditation. If you sit and stare at a pond, if you sit outside and you're under a tree, if you're doing yoga postures and something comes to you and you feel it and it flows naturally, then that is your answer. but you got mad at me because I didn't give you the answer you wanted. So you said, oh, forget it. No, I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what I see. And also, I didn't tell my producer, but I want a metaphysical question first and then a personal question. Because nobody cares about everybody else's personal problems, but they do care about metaphysical questions. And your reward for that will be that I'll answer your personal question. Okay, so karma is the law of cause and effect. Everybody has a karmic menu. This is what your astrology chart is all about. You will see that you have a moon position, your sun sign, and your ascendant or your rising. Your ascendant or your rising will always be in the 9 o'clock position. That's a stable. And your rising is what your sun sign will be in your next lifetime. You know your sun sign now. Whatever your moon is what your sun sign was in your last lifetime. And in your last lifetime, your rising is what your sun sign is now. So your rising position is what your sun sign will be in your next lifetime. And your sun sign now will be your moon position. So you've got your past, your present, and your future right there in your chart. Now you say, well, what if Earth is not habitable? I mean, because we're heading for an apocalypse as we know it. And the Earth may not be suitable for habitation, for human or animal habitation. So you do not get a free pass. You go to a planet that's very similar to Earth with the karmic level, and the situations will appear that you need. So you never get out of it. And it doesn't matter whether it's in this solar system or 20 other solar systems away. You will have your opportunity to take care of your lessons. Because the more you take care of your earthly karma, regardless of where it is, then you don't have to inhabit a physical body again. You'll experience everything in the astral world. And you will take care of that level of karma. And then you go to the finest, most loving, most intense level called the etheric level. Or in Hawaiian, Max Freedom Long wrote some wonderful books about Hawaiian spirituality. And it's called the highest self. And that is where you take care of the very, 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 very last little tidbits of questions that you had about the universe or questions you had about the God force. And then you're reunited again. Can you, if you're Christian, think of anybody else who might be like that? When they say the Immaculate Conception, they're not talking about Jesus. They're talking about Mary Mother. So that means either she was never split out from the God force and inhabited a physical body, or she had already completed her rejoining, going back to the God force, and came back to Earth for the special mission. And it doesn't really matter, because it was a great sacrifice to be in a physical body, especially in those days and in the Middle East. No showers, no automatic bathrooms, no refrigerators. You went to the market, you ate what they had, if you could afford it. It was not the greatest time. And you say, well, why are all these Marys and Marthas and Maries and M-A-R, M-E-R, M-A-R, M-E-R? Where does that come from? If you're a long-time watcher, you know. M-E-R is the French term for M-A-R. M-A-R is French term and Latin term, M-A-R, M-E-R, for water. And water is a woman's element. And just like today, if you're going to be a Catholic nun or a Catholic priest, you take another name. That detaches you from your earthly previous life, family connections, and you are giving your life over to God. That is the concept. So you take a name like Sister Mary Frances Kathleen or Saint Teresa. Get named after Saint Teresa. So you say, I'm Sister Teresa. So many women or men who followed the female energy of God took a name that started with M-A-R or M-E-R. Martha, for instance, was Mary's sister. And there was a Martha that was a cousin of Yeshua's, because that was Jesus's name in Hebrew. Jesus wasn't a name in Hebrew, but Yeshua was. So when you're thinking of reincarnating again, because now it's your turn and you've taken care of all the information you need to take care of, and you see what you did right and what did you do wrong, so you come back again in another physical body, one that will be appropriate to take care of the karma you have in this lifetime. And so therefore, if you make a decision to take a life of spirituality or your religion, because in then your perspective, that's all there is that particular religion in your area. But you want to give your life to God, you want to serve, you want to be helpful to people, and that's the only way you can do it. Then you take a name that represents someone previously known to you as one of the saints' names or one of the places that that saint lived, to give you that extra energy to be able to help you fulfill your karmic responsibilities. So karma is the law of cause and effect. You do reap what you sow. And even if it's inconvenient, which doing the right thing often is, so what? You'll do the other thing tomorrow. If helping someone, if helping an animal, if helping guide somebody chop down a tree, and you have that ability to know where that tree should be chopped or what branches need to be trimmed, then stop and help. Don't let people chase you away if you have a special ability, because they may not have it. To them, it's just a job. Chop off the limb, let's go. But if you say chop it here, because you can feel and see that the energy of that tree goes out a little further, you can either talk to the tree in your mind or ask them to wait a second, and they'll probably think you're crazy. So taking up that time trying to find out whether or not you're crazy, the tree will be able to withdraw some of the sap. You're doing a good deed for a tree. Trees are doing good things for us all day long, 24 hours a day. Remember? Change of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Remember that? We breathe oxygen out. They give off the oxygen at night. They give off the carbon dioxide when we don't need it. So they're working for us. The grass in your yard, every bush, every flower, every tree that you plant is working. Even crops are working. Even the soil, if they're rotating the soil and putting in a healthy crop, that's working too, because it's enriching the soil. Giving the soil a chance to regenerate in between use is helping the soil. Nobody loses when you do the right thing. It might be inconvenient, but it's your karma to be there at that moment, at that time. So I think we've covered a lot of karma. I think we've covered trees and people and critters. We're all related. What is the expression that I really like? If a butterfly flaps its wings in Brazil, somebody in China knows it. So that'll create a breeze, and that'll maybe attract another butterfly, and that'll attract some bees, and that will cause pollination, and that pollination could be on a plant that's considered a medicine, and that medicine could be picked by people who collect medicinal plants, and that could go to a special pharmacy, and that could go to help people around the world. Every time you clear a field, You're clearing away medicine. You're clearing away the energy that was in that field to make it healthy and make it grow. So be thinking about that before you clear a field, and don't burn it. The world's on fire as it is. It's never a good idea to burn anything down. And I'm going to make a personal request. You're all going to think, oh, the woman's nuts. She's lost her mind. Stop eating meat, or eat meat twice a week. And try to find a substitute for beef and pig. I know bacon. I don't miss bacon. I never liked bacon. I'd look at it and think, that's fat. The hamburger has like grizzle in it. I'd always find that. Never liked it. I'd pick the hamburger apart, be looking for the grizzle. And I'm talking sirloin. Wasn't junky meat. It was good meat. So I think more the fact that you might analyze the meat that you're eating, the more unappealing it'll be. And if we can get cows and we get pigs off the planet, the methane gas level will be improved tremendously. And you'll be healthier. There are many, many, many companies now making really good meat or substitute products. I think it looks too real to me. I couldn't eat the bacon. It looks and tastes way too real. I've lost my affinity for any kind of animal product, except for cheese and milk. If you kill the cow, you don't get any more cheese. You don't get any more milk or butter. So just think about that. Go twice a week and have meat, and the rest of the time don't. You can substitute cheese. When I make spaghetti sauce, I slice up mozzarella, cut it in half, and drop it in the sauce for a few minutes until it begins to melt, and then put that on my spaghetti or macaroni, whatever I'm having. And there's your protein. Good, healthy protein that your body can absorb and that your body can make good use of. We're naturally vegetarian, so when you take meat, we don't have all the digestive enzymes that wolves and cats do, and tigers and puppy dogs. Cats need more meat than dogs do. So, but they all need meat. That's how their genetics works. That's how their digestive systems and their tummies work. Ours not so much. So it'll be helpful for you. And for those who, if I hear one more person say that they gain COVID weight, your weight will naturally begin to balance out when you stop eating meat. I promise. Just twice a week, try eating meat twice a week, and not for the rest of the week. Substitute cheeses and substitute eggs, substitute tofu. If you saute it and give it a little crust on each side, it's delicious. I promise you. And that's karmic as well, because you're not causing the death and the destruction of the Amazon. Do you realize that most of the Amazon has been destroyed so they can put cattle there to fill the hamburger stands all around the world? Does China need a McDonald's? No. And ever since we moved over to Japan and the Orient with our diets, those people have been getting diabetes, and they've been getting fat, and they've been getting heart problems, things they never had for thousands of years. So making money is great. Killing people with it, not so great. And the karma of the people involved in that, I wouldn't want to be them. Because they created a money-making opportunity at the cost of people and their lives and their general health. That's how karma works. We would just drive by and go to a place that makes makes what? Submarines? My daughter and I took a trip, and to be able to eat on the way, we had submarines. But guess what? They're not all the same, which we found out. But we're able to get cheese. So before you take any trips, think about where you're going to go for food. By the way, the number to call if you have a question Metaphysical question first. It could be on the incarnation. It could be, we're going to talk about the number 3 in a minute. It could be on the number 3. It could be anything you want that's of general interest to the planet. And then your personal question. That's 844-390-8255. That's 844-390-8255. So you say to yourself, I hear a lot about the number 3. Does it have anything to do with the Trinity? I don't know. What do you think? Try Trinity? Yes, it does. A lot of religions talk about the different aspects of God. Hinduism is a good example. Shinto in Japan is another good example. Their main god is the female aspect of God in Shinto. In Buddhism, there's a number 3. But remember, I always go like this. One God, female aspect, male aspect, one God. You want to know what the true Trinity is, and you're Christian, it's not the Father, the Son, and a ghost. Think about that, people. Does that make sense to you? That a ghost visited Mary, and suddenly she's pregnant. That was in Gilgamesh. It was in ancient Babylonian stories. They just build on each story. This is a Trinity: the Father, the Mother, the Child. Doesn't matter if it's a male child or a female child. It's the Father, the Mother, the Child. The seed, the egg in the womb produces a child. If you want to start your kids off on the birds and the bees, this is a good way to do it. Hindus have, which the Christians were terrified of, 9 in one. Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, Parvati, Durga, Kali. Creation, preservation, and destruction to be round creation again, preservation, destruction, recreation, preservation, destruction. Where there's a male, there's a female. Where there's a female, there's a male. So therefore, do not think for a second that men are better than women. They say that history is written by the victors. It's also been written by men. And many of us ladies are tired of it. And I think it was PBS that was running, and I think it was a Science Channel as well. They were running last month all of the women who have done something fabulous. For instance, who created sanitary conditions in medical facilities? Florence Nightingale. She was a wealthy single woman, and she went to visit the soldiers in the Crimean War. And she couldn't stand the stench that she went in and saw. And she saw trenches running out with sewage, and soldiers stacked up along these trenches and all on top of each other. So she toured the entire facility, said they need clean water. You need to get rid of the sewage. Another way, you need to get the soldiers away from the sewage. Their wounds need to be cleaned. They didn't have iodine like we have today, but they used alcohol and poured it on the wounds. She made them get clean linens, wash the linens instead of bugs flying and crawling all over them. And she cleaned the place up, and guess what? The recovery rate went up faster, the death rate went down, and she did a tremendous amount to make sanitary conditions and sanitary hospital conditions, and we have a woman to thank for it. Who started the Red Cross? I almost said Clara Bow, but she was an actress. Clara Barton started the Red Cross. Who invented radar-associated equipment that's still used today in satellites, in your cell phone, in radios, TVs. You're not going to get this unless you've already seen the story. Hedy Lamarr, an actress in the 30s. She was a genius. She has many patents. And since she was over here as a refugee from World War I, she didn't have an attorney advising her. She gave all the patents to the government of the United States. And instead of decently, talk about karma, decently giving her a yearly bonus or a monthly stipend, they left her high and dry, and she wound up broke and in prison for kleptomania. And the last one was in Florida, good old Florida, where she had three items. I think they totaled like $10 in her hands. And she was behind her friend who was paying. She thought her friend was paying hers. So she walked out, and there was a cop standing there, and they arrested her. So they set her up. That was some friend. What a karma. She was brilliant. She was not like Albert Einstein, and not everyday situations. So here is a woman who today, her inventions, along with a man who helped her at times, who helped her with her sketches, made them more presentable to the patent office. Still today, this refugee from another country made inventions that are used in everyday products we have and the aerospace industry. So when we finally acknowledge that men and women are equal, and we may think a little differently, men would be more like Virgo, women would be more like Pisces. Pisces need to think more logically because they're filled with emotion, and Virgo needs to think more emotionally because they're all logical. So they need to come together. 12 signs, 6 pair, Pisces and Virgo are a pair. And they each can teach other different lessons. If you've got Pisces and Virgo in your chart, God bless your little hearts, because that's a struggle. That's when you know you have to overcome the thinking and the feeling and the thinking and the feeling and rise to the occasion of using your intuition, your third eye. That's when you should be meditating. Everybody should be meditating. Sometimes you see squirrels or birds. I don't think chipmunks sit quietly long enough, but I'm sure chipmunks do too. All animals get that stare where they're staring into space. And they're simply, babies do it too. They're simply meditating. Simply uniting their minds and their souls with the divine in the astral world. Does your puppy dog or pussycat see things? Watch them. Gracie loves to roll her head and roll it back, staring up at the ceiling. She is all completely relaxed. And she's so happy. She sees my other pussycats. She sees angels. So do your pets. They're not thinking of dinner. Dinner isn't up in the ceiling. They know where dinner is. They see the astral world. You do too sometimes. You might be, everybody has psychic ability. It's your soul's mind. We all have the soul spark from God. And so therefore, we all have intuition. That's your third eye. Now, some people just hear, that's clairaudient. Some people see, that's clairvoyant. Some people smell, some people taste, some people sense. And so therefore, however it works for you, there's no right way and wrong way. As long as you surround yourself with light Before each show, before each consultation that I do, I always do a special prayer. Each time. Each client that comes in, before that, I wash my hands, say a prayer, they're in, we do another little blessing together, and we do the consultation. Every time, because every person is different, every soul is different. So if you want to hone your skills, meditate. Some people are psychic dreamers. I'm not necessarily, unless there's something important. And then that happens within usually 24 to 48 hours. And if I dream about somebody I know, it's literal. It's a literal person, a literal event, a literal set of circumstances. So however you get your information, work with it. Make notes if you want to. Keep track of it. I can't tell you how many people have said, oh, my mother had this, or my aunt had it, or my grandmother had it, or my grandfather had it. And some of them have it in different ways. So develop what is yours by birth. Develop what is yours as your natural gift.
4 minutes.
It is your gift to survive the physical world. The universe wouldn't just toss you on a planet and say, ha, see what's going to happen now to you. You have this as a lifeline to the universe. It's yours. It's mine. It's your cats. It's your dogs. It's your horse. You know how animals like certain people and don't like others? Trust your pet. Or trust your horse. They're always right. Always right. And remember, if you are deciding that you want to go explore further, I have a recommended reading list. You can find it at the back of my website. And I need to update it, but you can watch on the History Channel. I recommend the Science Channel as well, the Discovery Channel, the Learning Channel. Sometimes the Travel Channel will run things from the History Channel. They have very good programming. Ancient Aliens is one of them.
3 minutes.
And the American History Channel, AHC, also has excellent programming. PBS is running a wonderful series now about the body, starting with babies. And now they're doing the circulation system. Watch as much as you can, learn as much as you can from reliable sources. And anybody who says, well, you can't do that, you can't read, they want you programmed. They only want you to think the way they think. They're restricting you. They're restricting the mind that you got from the God force. This is who you are. And if you're a little limited in this lifetime, okay, make the best. Do the best you can. If you are saying to yourself, gee, I'd like to be a rocket scientist, but you make great shoes and you make great bread, that's what you should be doing. You can be interested in NASA. You can be getting science magazines. You can be going on websites. You can actually go on NASA's website. You can have that as a hobby.
2 minutes.
If it's unrealistic. So you're not limited to one thing in life. You are a mind, you are a soul. You have options. And if you want to call for an appointment, that's 727-804-4536. And they will make arrangements for you. And if you just open up your hearts and minds to God's universal truth, you're going to know that God and the angels are always with you. Always. Thank you.